Today I have Coach Kyle Richardson here with Coach Noah Brewster and myself, Michael Parker, and we are going to be talking about college recruitment for baseball players. For those of you who don't know, Kyle Richardson is a collegiate level coach, and he works a lot with college recruiting and getting youngsters involved in the right programs for them, and as a good mentor and guide for that. So anyway, we have a couple questions to ask Kyle, and there are a lot of questions that I think parents ask in general. So we kind of consolidated them here. And so the first thing that we wanted to talk about was, when is it appropriate to start showcasing? And so I think Noah has a really good kind of question framing for this.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions that come in from parents that talk to me about, these certain specialty trips that they get invited on or tryouts that they have in national teams. And these boys are 10, 11, 12, 13. They ask my opinion on them. Is it worth doing? Is it useful? My answer to them is kind of all the same thing unless they're in a certain age bracket. I guess there's good and bad you take away from both of it. But
sure.
It's kind of exploded into this thing where showcases have become a big mass money producer, and they kind of wrangle kids in that are 12, 13, 14 and get them obsessed and worried and concerned with rankings and showcasing and exposure and all this other stuff. And basically Kyle's the best one that we have in-house that can talk to you about college recruitment because he's done it. He knows what colleges are looking for. He knows the statistics and the odds, and he can kind of give you his peace of mind on it, and I'll share what I can for sure. So yeah. What do you think?
It's the recruiting doesn't start for colleges until you're in high school. And then for most people, they still don't really look at you as a freshman unless you're an absolute stud and your name is already out there, and it's one of these things where you're playing varsity as a freshman and somebody sees you and says, hey, this guy as a freshman can really play varsity. And then it starts to get the word around, people talk, people communicate. That's how the majority of the recruitment takes place, is through people talking to each other. It's not so much going to these showcases and seeing guys. That's where you kind of finalize the deal as a college coach. You're going there to kind of I've heard about Noah Brewster, who plays at El Toro High School, but he plays for, a travel ball organization that's going to this tournament in Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go to that tournament in Arizona, and I'm going to go see Noah Brewster because I've heard really good things, and I've already been talking and communicating with him over the phone.
So you're going into a showcase looking for kids that you already know about.
Yeah, you're already actively recruiting them.
Sure.
You're already talking to them on the phone. People can get contact information all over the place. Now there's just so many people. There's so many avenues. There's former players that played for organizations. When I got recruited, I got to Cal State Bakersfield because an Angels scout was a former player of that coach, told the coach about me, and then the coach gave me a call out of the blue.
So what age should parents really care or be concerned or proactively getting their kids in front of you or start the recruiting process?
You can start as young as 14. I think that's the earliest age, is 14. But most of the recruitment takes around 15 to 17 years old. If you're a senior and you really haven't gotten a Division I look, it's not too late, but at the same time, it's kind of the window of opportunity is closed and it's very slim.
So there's really no merit to parents going out and spending all this money, time, and energy on these showcases for 11, 12, 13-year-old kids.
No, it's not worth it because college recruiters and pro scouts are smart. They know you haven't developed your entire skill set yet because you haven't even hit puberty. How am I supposed to tell a kid what he can and cannot do when his body hasn't even developed?
Right.
I have no idea. We have a perfect example. I coach over at Sierra. We have a kid who has a 14-year-old in high school, was 5'3". He was tiny. He's 6'4" now, and he just graduated high school.
That's a big difference.
The kid grew a foot and over a foot in high school. And so if you were to go out to a showcase, if he were to at age 14, everybody wouldn't have even looked at him. So at the same time, it's a case-by-case basis, even when we're talking 14, 15, 16. If you're a physically mature 14-year-old, go for it. You've already developed your body and what it's going to be. So yeah, go and get your name out there. But if you're I hate to use the word physically immature, but your body hasn't quite reached its potential yet, there's really no point because, number one, you're not showcasing the best of your ability because you haven't even developed yet physically. So there's really no point. And then number two, you're going to get overshadowed by the dude who's way bigger than you. I mean, it's just so it's one of those. If you know, hey, I'm 6'1" as a freshman, and I'm strong and I'm big and I can play, you should go. But if you're 5'4" and you're a little guy who's still growing and you're the same size as you were last year and you know you're going to hit another growth spurt, I would wait. I would wait until your junior year.
That's a big thing that I always tell the parents is like, look, you got to make sure that your product is finished before you put it on the field. I mean, it's like going to a showcase when you're 12, 13, you're making mental mistakes, or you don't quite have the techniques down, or you look like you still have a lot of cleaning up to do. It's an unfinished product. I mean, for me personally, I don't want to send a kid out to a big stage showcase in front of hundreds of recruiters and scouts, and even people that can talk to recruiters and scouts with an unfinished product. Me as an organization wouldn't want to send a kid that's not ready to a showcase, because if he goes out there, he's representing me as well on top of himself, and he's just not ready. I mean, I don't want him to go out and get written off because he goes out and he's not physically developed or mentally developed enough to be able to showcase his true ability.
The other thing too is that what a lot of parents I think misunderstand, or they don't even consider, is that sometimes they set their kids up for failure because they set a level of expectation so high and it's an inappropriate time. And, one of my mentors many years ago told me that your goals are never incorrect, but the time frame can be. And sometimes what happens is parents, I think, get so over exuberant that they put their kids in a situation. And I've noticed that a lot of times a parent is like, yeah, my kid is A, B, C. They can rip. They're amazing. They can do everything. They should be a shortstop. They should be a pitcher. And then you get out there and their kid can barely run. And it's because there's a warped perception. You know. Well, and I think that's natural.
Yeah. But. Well, I don't want what I said to also get misconstrued about the word physically mature. That doesn't mean tall. That doesn't mean big. It means whatever it is that you're physically going to be able to do.
We're talking about optimal potential.
Yeah, there are some small kids. Nick Madrigal over at Elk Grove is a perfect example. He's 5'5" and he's 140 pounds.
He's a stud.
But he's a stud. The guy is a flat-out stud. He's physically mature, even though his frame is not large. Physically, he's mature.
I think another thing too.
He's a perfect example. You're not big, but the dude can play baseball.
What it really it comes down to is neuromuscular control and a chemical maturity.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is just because somebody is large genetically doesn't mean that they've already met their genetic potential. There could still be a lot more there. So anyway, that's a good answer to question one, I think, and it's a really perfect segue to question two, which is what are the chances of a kid getting picked up? What's the chance of a college scholarship?